Welcome to the new video, Old Crypto Coin, where we explore the fascinating world of rare and valuable coins. Today's video is dedicated to one of the most mysterious and highly collectible coins from Australia, the 1975 Elizabeth II coin. While at first glance, this coin may seem like just another piece of circulating currency, the truth is that certain 1975 coins bearing the image of Queen Elizabeth II have become incredibly sought after by collectors and investors. In this video, we'll dive into the history, design, minting details, errors, varieties, and the fascinating stories behind these coins that have pushed their value to extraordinary heights. So sit back, relax, and join me for a 45-minute deep dive into the most expensive Elizabeth II 1975 Australian coin. To begin, let's set the stage with a little history. The year 1975 was a notable time in Australia's history. Queen Elizabeth II was well into her reign, and her effigy had already become a familiar sight on Australian coinage. Decimal currency had been introduced less than a decade earlier, in 1966, which means that coins from the 1970s still carried the novelty of a relatively new system. Coins bearing Elizabeth II's portrait were struck in denominations such as the 1 cent, 2 cent, 5 cent, 10 cent, 20 cent, and 50 cent pieces, and later the $1 and $2 coins, though those higher denominations came much later. In 1975, most coins were still in copper and copper-nickel, but some minting quirks and low mintages have made a few surviving coins incredibly rare. The obverse of the 1975 Australian coins features the second portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, designed by Arnold Mackin. This portrait is elegant and regal, showing the Queen facing right, wearing the tiara that was often seen in official portraits. This effigy became standard across many Commonwealth nations, and in Australia, it was used for decades. Collectors often identify coins by the portrait, since each portrait change marks an important era in the history of Australian coinage. The reverse, of course, varies depending on the denomination. For example, the 1 cent coin displays a feather-tail glider, the 2 cent coin shows a frill-neck lizard, the 5 cent coin features echidna, the 10 cent coin the lyrebird, the 20 cent coin the platypus, and the 50 cent coin the Australian coat of arms. All of these designs have become iconic symbols of Australian coinage, but in 1975, subtle differences in production levels made some coins much scarcer than others. Now let's talk about rarity. Not every 1975 Elizabeth II coin is worth a fortune. In fact, most of them can still be found in circulation or sold for only a small premium above face value. However, certain mint day examples, proof coins, and error coins from 1975 have become incredibly desirable. For instance, some 1975 coins were produced with striking errors such as off-center strikes, double strikes, die cracks, or planchet flaws. These errors were unintentional at the time of production, but today they are treasures in the eyes of collectors. Depending on the severity of the error and condition of the coin, prices can climb into the hundreds or even thousands of dollars. One of the most valuable varieties from 1975 is the proof issue. Proof coins were specially made for collectors, with polished dies and planchets, producing a mirror-like surface and razor-sharp details. These coins were not meant for circulation, and their mintages were very limited. A 1975 proof set from the Royal Australian Mint, if kept in pristine condition, can fetch significant amount at auction today, especially if the coins remain untouched, free from toning, and sealed in their original packaging. Collectors who specialize in proof sets often pay premiums to complete their series, and the 1975 set has become increasingly desirable due to its relative scarcity and historical significance. The 50 cent coin of 1975, in particular, deserves special mention. By the early 1970s, the round silver 50 cent coins of 1966 had already been withdrawn because their silver content exceeded their face value. These were replaced by the dodecagonal 12-sided 50 cent made of copper-nickel. The 1975 50 cent, featuring the coat of arms, is not considered scarce in circulation. However, in high grades, especially in proof or uncirculated condition, it becomes much more desirable. Collectors pay close attention to strike quality, surface preservation, and luster. A gem-quality 1975 50 cent coin can command strong prices, on the collector's market. Another interesting detail comes from the international coin market. Australian coins featuring Elizabeth II are not only collected in Australia, but also across the Commonwealth and globally. This means that demand for 1,975 coins extends well beyond national borders. In recent years, auctions have seen remarkable bidding wars for rare varieties and pristine proof examples. Prices that once hovered in the modest range have now climbed significantly, making the 1975 Elizabeth II coins a hot topic among serious numismatists. Let's now take a closer look at error coins, since they often form the backbone of what makes a common coin extraordinarily expensive. Imagine finding a 1975 2-cent coin with a double die obverse, where the Queen's portrait shows a ghost-like doubling effect, or a 1-cent coin with a significant off-center strike, where part of the design is missing altogether. These kinds of errors transform everyday coins into collectibles worth hundreds or thousands of times their face value. In one notable case, a 1975 coin with a major die crack across the Queen's portrait sold at auction for several $1,000s because of its rarity and the dramatic nature of the error. It's also important to discuss grading, since the condition of a coin can make or break its value. Coins are graded on a scale that runs from poor, fair, good, and fine all the way up to extremely fine, almost uncirculated and mint state. Professional grading services, such as PCGS or NGC, can assign a numerical grade from 1 to 70, with 70 being a perfect coin. For a 1975 Elizabeth II coin, an uncirculated example with full luster and no visible marks might grade MS65 or higher, which can multiply its value many times over compared to a circulated coin. Collectors often compete fiercely for the highest graded examples, knowing that their rarity makes them excellent long-term investments. Another factor driving the price of 1,975 coins is their place in the larger narrative of Queen Elizabeth II's reign. Coins are not just money, they are also historical artifacts. A coin from 1975 is now half a century old, and as the decades pass, surviving examples in high condition naturally become scarcer. With the passing of Queen Elizabeth II in 2022, interest in coins bearing her portrait surged dramatically. Collectors sought to acquire keepsakes from every year of her reign, and coins in the mid-1970s became especially popular. This surge in demand has caused auction prices for rare 1975 pieces to skyrocket. To give a few examples of value, while most 1975 coins in circulated condition are worth only a few cents above their face value, an uncirculated 1975 proof set can easily sell for hundreds of dollars. Error coins, depending on their severity and uniqueness, can command prices ranging from several hundred to several $1,000s. For instance, a 1975 20-cent coin with a dramatic off-metal strike once sold at auction for a sum that shocked even experienced collecto.